In this video, I'm going to show you 5 lighting techniques I learned after studying Stranger Things for over 45 hours. And at the end of this video, I'll show you a short scene I created that combines all 5 techniques into one scene. If you're new here, I'm John, cinematographer and filmmaker, and I'm a massive fan of Stranger Things. Noah, do you like Stranger Things?
Yeah.
What's your favourite season?
The monster.
The monster. In this video, I'm going to be using all types of different gear, lighting units, different things. That will all be linked down in the description. But for this video, there are 2 lights in particular that I'm going to use for every single shot. So here's how this is going to work. We're starting at level 1, the simplest technique, and with each level, the lighting gets more technical. So let's start with level 1, texture. Texture is a great way to add interest and depth to a shot. On the wall, behind Lucas, here across the background, and here on what would otherwise be a completely flat wall. A plain surface feels empty. Texture makes it feel lived in. It adds depth. It can also suggest time of day, and it suggests light coming from somewhere else that is real. This is shot number 2 of our final scene, and we are focusing on the character sat at the table. We also have the camera over here. This is an over-the-shoulder shot, and our other character is in the foreground here, and our texture is coming from this light here, the Godox VL150, against this wall here. Set to 5600 Kelvin with a spotlight attachment. That lets me drop in gobos, which also allow me to insert different style gobos to create different patterns. I chose a window grid pattern, not because it looks cool, but because it feels motivated. I can keep it sharp or soften it slightly. The rest of the lighting supports the scene. But this is the layer that adds depth. With the actor in position, I can then check the shot using my iPad as a larger screen to make sure I'm happy with how it's looking. And this is the final shot. Level 2, top light. Stranger Things uses this constantly. Sometimes it's practical, where characters walk directly under visible fixtures in the shot. Other times it's invisible, just a soft ambient source from above. Not motivated by anything specific, just shaping the space. In this shot before the doors open, we can see that there is a light above it. When the character stands in frame, we can see this light working. It catches the hair, it hits the shoulders, it edges them away from the background. This creates separation between the background and the character. Next, it's shot number 5 of our final scene, where we have our character leave the table and walk all the way to the entrance of the corridor. Our camera's at the end and our main key light is just above. So I boomed one of the GVM lights directly above, as high as I could get it, right against the ceiling. Added the softbox to soften the light, then add a grid to give it more direction and less spill. Set it to 6800 Kelvin, gives us a cool controlled ambient. I also added a second GVM light to the side of the character, which is motivated by a table lamp we see in the previous shot. This was set to 2800 Kelvin, so we get the color contrast between the cool light above and the warm side light. And then we are ready to shoot. And here's the final shot. For the ending of this scene, I wanted to go from this frame to this frame. And that's where today's sponsor comes in. Higgsfields is an AI platform that lets you generate and turn still frames into cinematic shots. So the first thing I did was go into Higgsfields AI, create image, and select Nano Banana. Set to 16:9 in 4K. From there, I chose my batch size, entered my prompt, and hit generate. This was the first image I generated. After a few iterations and prompt tweaks, I eventually arrived at this final image, which became my end frame. Next, I went into my editing software and exported a still frame from my last frame of my practical shot. I then went back into Higgsfields, this time inside Cinema Studio, and selected my start frame and my end frame, the image I generated. From there, I set it to a single shot, 16:9, 1080p for the output quality, chose a zoom out camera movement, left the speed ramp on auto, set the duration, and then hit generate. And this is what the final result looked like. What I like about Higgsfields AI is it lets you bridge the gap between AI and practical filmmaking in a way that it feels like a natural camera move. If you want to try this out for yourself, there's a link down in the description for Higgsfields Cinema Studio. But now let's get into the next breakdown. Level 3, extending light. In this scene, Mike walks into frame. The window is bright, But the window isn't doing all the work in terms of lighting the characters. Above it, out of frame, is another light, which is extending the light source. And it works because it's motivated by the window. So this is what we're going to do in our scene. Next is shot number 1, where we're going to shoot a profile of our main character looking out the window. Our GVM 300 is going to be outside, and our other light is going to be just above the window. First, I place the GVM 300 outside. Set to 6800 Kelvin, that becomes our moonlight. It floods the window. It also throws a shaft of light across the chest of the actor and across the background. Then I add the extension of light from inside, a GVM Z200B, boomed above the window, softbox on, grid attached, as high as I can get it so it's out of the shot. This light is motivated by the window, but it gives me control over the exposure of the character's face. I check exposure using false color on the iPad. The rule is simple. The face cannot be brighter than the window. If it is, the illusion breaks. I rotated the panel 90 degrees, which let it reach further back on the character, and it deepened the shadow towards the camera. Then one final check on false color again, and we are ready to shoot. And here's the final shot. Level 4, Cross Key. In Season 5, there's a scene where two characters stand face to face. Warm light sits behind one and cool light sits behind the other, but neither light is just a backlight. Each one does two jobs. It backlights one character and keys the other. That's cross key. Two sources, opposite each other, both working twice. Next is shot number 4 of our final scene, where the camera is placed at the end of the table and our characters are sat opposite each other, giving us the opportunity for the cross key. First, I placed one of the GVM lights vertically behind our character, set to 6800 Kelvin, that becomes his backlight. Then I placed the second GVM light on the opposite side, set to 2800 Kelvin. Then I laid black blankets down to reduce any bounce light from the carpet. Next, I flagged the lights, putting up 2 boards beside each light, cutting the light from hitting the near side wall. This reduces contamination and keeping as much contrast in as I can. And here's our final shot. And finally, level 5, low angle eye light. This one is subtle but powerful if done right. Stranger Things uses low angle eye light constantly across every season. Sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's barely there. In this shot, Will is lit from below. You can see it in his eyes. But when it cuts to Winona Ryder, the light shifts. It's raised up and softened. Because low angle light is not very flattering, it creates harsh shadows and can distort the face. Used carefully, it adds tension. Used incorrectly, it just looks wrong. Then, interestingly, there's this scene. We can see the top light in the reflection of the mirror. When we cut to Dr. Brenner, he only has that top light. No eye light at all. When we cut to Winona, it changes. She has an eye light. Why? Because we're meant to trust her. An eye light lets us in. It reveals thought, emotion, soul. Removing it does the opposite. It withholds information. That's not accidental, that's storytelling through lighting. And finally, it's shot number 3 of our final scene. Our character's gonna be sat at this table, here's the camera for the close-up, and here's our key light for that low angle eye light. First, I placed the GVM panel on the floor, angled upwards, set to 2800 Kelvin, softbox on, and grid attached to help us keep that control. Then I refined the exposure using the false color on the iPad. Above the character, I added a second GVM panel set to 6800 Kelvin directly overhead. That creates our color contrast. And finally, we added in our texture background and a practical lamp as well. And this is the final shot. Have you seen anything yet?
I can't see anything, but there's definitely something still out there.
Man, we need to get out of here. We cannot stay here any longer.
What the hell are you talking about? We stay here and we stick to the plan. Look, Jamie and the others said that they would be here. I trust Jamie with my life.
Alright, fine. What was that noise?
Jamie and the others said that they would be here. I trust Jamie with my life. Stop smiling. Jamie with my life.
Fine.